agencies.
Okay, thank you for now. Yolan Nell there in Jerusalem for us. Well, let's now bring in Tamara Alrifai, who's from the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, joining us live from Amman in Jordan. Thank you for waiting to speak to us, Tamara. So just tell us the latest about what your agency workers are experiencing in Gaza.
Thanks, and good morning from Amman. I listened to Yolan's report, and she very much conveyed the situation, the humanitarian situation. People in Gaza are exhausted, anxious, and hungry, and almost all of them are today displaced. People have been displaced for the last 8 weeks, but mostly after the pause, the humanitarian pause, the respite of a few days ended, people have been ordered by the Israeli authorities to move in mass towards a very tiny area in the south of the Gaza Strip, causing overcrowding to the point where our own shelters at UNRWA, the largest UN agency operating in Gaza, our own shelters are bursting to the seams. We can no longer admit people who are displaced into our own shelters. And so tens of thousands of people are sleeping on the street in the open under the bombardment.
Also, just to illustrate to our viewers, you've lost workers, haven't you? People who worked for your agency during this military action. I believe over 100 of your staff have been killed. Is that correct?
More than that, Sally, sadly. As of yesterday, UNRWA had already lost 132 staff members, my colleagues. Most of our staff members in Gaza are from Gaza themselves. So we're talking about 13,000 UNRWA employees in Gaza. Many of them, most of them, are themselves displaced. Many of them live in our shelters. However, they continue to work in our own shelters. So they wake up in the morning surrounded by thousands of people who are anxious and hungry, yet they go on, they give medical consultations, they go to our warehouses, bring in the food and the supplies and distribute it in our shelters. So we're talking about a staff corps of the UN that very much mirrors the situation of the civilians in Gaza.
Do you agree with Antonio Guterres that we could see an absolute collapse of public order very soon because of the intensity of the situation?
Absolutely. We are starting to see it. Last night, we had reports that are now confirmed of people going into one of our big warehouses to fend for themselves and to take some of our food because of how desperate they are. If something like this continues, it truly signifies that there is no more order in Gaza at all, especially that, for example, standard municipal services stopped functioning, pumping of sewage water, distribution of water. This is the beginning of a collapse of order, and that is extremely dangerous if the bombing and the war continues and people's anxiety reaches peak levels.
Okay, Tamara, thank you for talking to us once again. Tamara Alrifai there from the United Nations Relief and Works Agency.